I have pictures and proof where she has stabbed me twice in the back.
Miss Griffith, what's the name of your child?
Journey.
How old is Journey?
She's 9 months.
What does Lewis have with the child?
The last time he's physically seen her, like in person or anything, is she was 2 months old. He has FaceTimed her a few times, but other than that, he hasn't physically seen her in person.
Do you have any safety concerns about Mr. Lewis having possession of the child?
Not him himself, just his girlfriend.
Okay, and why is that?
We've just had altercations in the past, and I mean, their relationship is not 100% steady. And for the well-being of my child, I mean, just the toxic environment.
So what would you ask the court to do regarding Mr. Lewis's girlfriend?
I mean, if there's any way I can make it to where she's not around her.
What kind of visitation are you asking for Mr. Lewis to have?
I mean, if we can do standard, like supervised visitations or like in a public place.
And why would that be necessary?
Again, for the girlfriend's sake, just so she's not around my daughter.
And do you live here in San Angelo?
Yes.
And does Mr. Lewis live here in San Angelo?
No.
Where does Mr. Lewis live?
In Wichita Falls.
Okay, so that's about 3.5 hour drive, right?
Yes.
So how do you propose visitation take place with that distance between y'all?
I've told him I'm willing to either meet him halfway. I'm willing to do what I have to do on my part.
Okay, do you know where halfway is between here and Wichita Falls?
I do not know, but I mean, I can figure that out.
Do you have transportation?
I do.
Do you know if Mr. Lewis has transportation?
As far as his own vehicle, no. I know he uses his girlfriend's.
Are you asking the court to name you a sole managing conservator of the child?
I mean, yes.
Okay, and why is that?
I mean, just the fact that I've had her, and he doesn't, I mean, he has me blocked on everything. He does not communicate. I mean, his girlfriend doesn't allow him to pretty much, he can't have my number unblocked.
Okay. Have you considered using like a third-party app to communicate with Mr. Lewis?
Yes, they recommended an app the last time that we went to the little hearing thing.
Okay. Was it maybe App Close?
I believe so. I think so.
Okay, have y'all downloaded that and started using it?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
All right. Do you have anything you want to ask of Miss Griffith? Not testimony you want to give Mr. Lewis, but a specific question you want to ask Miss Griffith.
I would like to ask, when did you offer to meet halfway between here and Wichita?
I've told you multiple times in the past. I mean, I have the messages on Instagram.
I'm aware that you said when I lived in Angelo, you did say we could meet in a public place, but I don't have any record of you saying you can meet me halfway to Angelo so I could see her.
Okay, well, we've talked about it when you've FaceTimed me behind Shania's back. we've had private conversations around your girlfriend, and
you
we've
ne-
talked.
You never offered me the opportunity. I'm just,
I told you I was
Okay,
willing
all right.
to.
Hang on, both of you. When I say hang on, that's both of you. Stop talking. All right, we're not going to argue over this. You've asked the question. I've heard her answer, and I'll make the ruling. So
yes, ma'am.
on to your next question.
No more questions.
Okay. Do you have anything further on your own behalf, Miss Griffith?
No.
All right. Next witness, Miss Starr.
We'll call Devin Lewis.
Okay. And Mr. Lewis, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am, I swear.
Thank you. State your name for the record.
Devin Lewis.
You may proceed, Ms. Starr.
Mr. Lewis, where do you reside?
I currently reside in Wichita Falls.
When did you move there?
I moved to Wichita back in March of
Okay,
2020.
why did you move there?
Currently, at the time when I was living in Angelo, my lease ended and I had more support here, so I came out this way so I can have more support.
Do you have family that lives in Wichita Falls?
My stepdad lives in Wichita Falls, and my current girlfriend, my baby mother of my son, her family lives here, so we just have more support out here.
Okay. Are you employed?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you work?
I currently work at Tilt Studios.
Okay. And do you get an hourly wage there or a salary? How are you paid?
I'm currently on an hourly plan.
Okay. And how much do you make hourly?
I currently make $15 an hour.
And how many hours a week do you work?
I work 40 hours a week.
And do you have insurance available to you through your employer that you could insure Journey with?
So, my current insurance I have is Blue Cross Blue Shield.
And do you know how much it would cost to add Journey to that policy?
With the plan I'm on, it would be 0 additional fees to add her.
Okay. Do you have another child on that plan as well?
I currently don't.
And do you have dental insurance as well?
I don't have dental insurance.
Okay. So, but you do have health insurance.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have transportation to either meet Miss Griffith halfway between Wichita Falls and San Angelo, or to come to San Angelo to visit?
Yes, ma'am. I have transportation. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know where halfway would be between here and Wichita Falls?
It will be in Anson, Texas.
Have you given any financial support to Miss Griffith since the baby was born in January of this year?
She contacted my mom because I do have her blocked, and I have bought diapers, formula, like clothes and stuff like that, and she just like picked it up from Walmart. So yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you given her any money, any cash, any like Cash App, Zelle, any electronic payments?
No, ma'am.
Did you work when you were in San Angelo?
I was enrolled in school. I graduated from Texas College of Cosmetology in Angelo in January 19th, 2024. After I graduated, I didn't work, and then in March I left.
Okay, and so you went to Wichita Falls then, and when did you start working at your current job?
March 29th, 2024.
Okay. What kind of visitation would you like to have with Journey?
I would just like to be able to pick up my daughter, and if I can get weekends, I will enjoy that. I just don't want no restrictions to where I have to be supervised.
Okay. Are you, what is your current girlfriend's name?
Shania
And does she have a last name?
Carrillo. Shania Carrillo.
Okay, and does Shania Carrillo have any conflicts with Miss Griffith?
So over the span of a few years, they do have ongoing altercations. Anytime they're both present in the same room, it's an altercation.
Do you have any objection to Miss Carrillo being excluded from being around your child?
I do not. The problem is not with the child, it's just with them themselves. Like they don't just like each other. But Shania has never made any rude remarks towards my child or, put her, like harmed her or anything. I have got
Has Miss Carrillo ever been around the child?
I watched Journey on February 21st, 2024. Brianna dropped her off at my residence and she had took a picture of me with my child. Like she was coming home from work. She was leaving to work. Yes, she's been in the same household as my child before with Journey.
I'll pass the witness.
All right. Miss Griffith, do you have any specific questions of Mr. Lewis?
Yes. Why was I never aware after the day that, I let you watch her, you told me that she was not there, and now I'm finding out that she was there.
I told you she was there, and after that, you stopped letting me get her. That's why I haven't got her physically, because you don't want her around her. And after that, you stopped letting me get her.
Other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Anything further on your own behalf, Mr. Lewis?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So do either of you have a solution for a visitation schedule that would allow Mr. Lewis to spend time with the child and get to know the child?
I've told him since the day she was born, I have no issue with him himself spending time with her, getting her, but he has went across my wishes obviously in the past, with bringing my child around other people.
Okay. And so you wouldn't mind him having the child over the weekend as long as she wasn't present?
If he has his own stable position, she's not around. I've told him I had no.
Do you think he would cause harm to the child or
Him
allow
physically.
listen to me, or allow someone else to harm his child?
No, not him.
Okay. So do you believe he would protect his child?
Yes.
Okay. And so if he told you he would protect the child, and specifically from Shania Carrillo, would you have a problem with that?
Yes, because she has made statements in the past to me.
What statements has she made?
While I was pregnant, she said that she would, quote unquote, end my pregnancy. She's in the past, she tried to run not me and him off of the road at high speeds, but their son as well. It's just things that she's done.
Okay, so your son is the child of Miss Carrillo,
Correct.
and that's the only other child you have?
With her, I have another daughter, but she resides with my aunt currently.
Okay, so you have 3 total children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what ages are the other 2?
Elijah is 3 and he's turning 4 in November. Mackenzie is 6 and she turns 7 in November.
And Elijah turns 4 when?
In November.
Okay, both of them. Okay. And this child is how about 10 months, you said?
9 months. Yes.
9 months, okay. All right. So now, Mr. Lewis, you tell me you know that there's issues between Miss Griffith and Miss Carrillo, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so how can you ensure that Miss Carrillo will not make disparaging remarks in front of the child, will not cause any harm mentally or physically to the child if she is allowed to be present?
Well, with a lot of situations, Brianna was in the aggressor position as well. It wasn't only just Shania that was making remarks. Brianna was also making remarks and doing things. But in the past, we've met up at the hospital. Shania was present and Brianna was present, and we exchanged. I gave her diapers because she needed diapers at the time, and I got to see my daughter at the hospital. So, if we're picking up and dropping off in a local setting, I don't see it being an issue. But it was if I go over there, I don't feel comfortable going to her house, and I didn't feel comfortable with her coming to my house because it was an altercation. She was hitting her, or she was hitting her. Her mom was involved in some of the altercations where Shania came to pick me up, and her mom dug out of her car. Like, as long as we're meeting in a social, like in at a public place, I realized it worked. Like, we met up at the park where I picked up my daughter from the park. We didn't have no altercations. As long as I could meet her just anywhere except for a residence.
Okay.
She never hit Brianna. It was always her like just kind of bullying her.
I have pictures and proof where she has stabbed me twice in the back.
She stabbed you with a knife?
Yes, I have pictures of that. I can show you, I don't know, on here or
All right, I'd like to see this.
yeah, let me grab
Did,
them.
did you seek medical treatment?
Yes, I did.
And was Mr. Lewis present?
Yes, he was. And it's this bottom picture. I don't know if you can.
Okay.
I have
I'm
a
seeing-
tattoo, so it's.
I was gonna say, I'm seeing a tattoo, but I'm not seeing a wound. I'm sorry.
I also have them on the phone if I need to email them in or something.
Okay, can you just share the photo from the phone?
I don't know how.
You have a share screen option?
It's right here. And then right there was.
Okay, so Mr. Lewis, were you present during this?
Correct.
And so was a knife involved?
So I was present. I wasn't present when the knife part would happen, but I did ask Brianna to leave the property, and she refused to leave. I went back into the house, and then I wasn't present when the knife part happened, and I wasn't present when she also scratched where she clawed Shania's face. So I mean, you can only go off her testimony for that part, but I have pictures of Shania where she clawed her face and down from the same night.
Okay,
And
so I understand it. Did you ever see the wounds after?
Yes,
Or did
he's the
she
one.
Hang on, I'm not talking to you at the moment. When I talk to you, I'll get your answer. So, Mr. Lewis, after this all happened, did you see Brianna or any wounds to her?
she sent pictures over
Not
messages.
sent. Did you go back outside and see what was going on?
No, I didn't, because the cops were already there.
Okay, so there was police call. So their animosity is such that it requires police intervention.
With every altercation, yes, there's been police.
Okay. All right, then I'm going to be the bearer of bad news here and tell you that This is the mother of this child. I doubt she's allowed to be around your other child. So it's going to be the same thing with this one. If you're going to have a relationship with this child, you can't mix together parents that are that. And I'm not saying who's to blame. I'm just saying she's the mother, so she can be present with Journey, where Miss Carrillo is the mother of Elijah. She can be present with Elijah. But I would, if I were the judge, I would say the same thing with Miss Griffin not being present with Elijah. Does that make sense? You seem to be the calming factor, but not even when they're together. They're oil and water, and I don't see that I can protect a child, because even if you don't use a knife, words hurt children, okay? So overhearing just arguments about her and things of that nature. So tell me, knowing that these two people aren't going to have a relationship common to this child until something major changes, how do you propose visiting this child when Miss Carrillo is not present?
Can you just repeat that the last part? How can I propose what?
You visiting and seeing this child without Miss Carrillo present.
My form of transportation is through her. I use her card, so her card for transportation.
And
So
so she has to be in the car when you're transporting.
she don't have to be in the car when I transport, but it is her car that I use for
Okay.
transportation. So
if she didn't want you to go see,
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying, like, I use her car, like we live together.
right,
So
do you have someone else's vehicle you can use? Or have you ever done bus transportation or anything of that nature? Like, how do you come see your mother if Miss Carrillo's not coming?
my mom she resides in Georgia.
Oh, she's no longer in San Angelo. I thought you,
Correct.
okay.
I'm from
Do
San
you have-
Angelo, but my mom moved.
Okay, do you have anybody that still lives in San Angelo other than this child?
Just my younger brother.
Okay, and what is his situation?
He currently don't own a vehicle.
Okay, so no help there. So, if you were going to come to Anson to meet for a few hours, would you have to bring Miss Carrillo since it's her car?
It's her car.
Okay. So your father doesn't have a vehicle you could borrow?
No, he barely got out of jail himself. We really didn't establish a bond or relationship.
Okay. Do you understand the situation? I think you do understand the situation. I think you understand it as a joint, and I understand it as a joint animosity. But do you understand how that relationship affects children?
I understand what you're saying, but a lot of the animosity is not coming from our side, it's coming from her side.
Right, and I understand that. But if I know a knife was involved and police are being called, that's enough animosity between the two of them. Okay?
Correct. But with that
The
being
knife is
said,
a deadly weapon. You know,
she's the one that's assaulting her. Her and her mom are the one that are
I
harming her.
understand that it was probably started there, but when you start pulling knives, that's a situation children are not in, okay?
Mhm.
If I'm looking at best interest of the children, that's not a situation for children.
Correct.
So knowing that, is there anything I can do to try to help you get a relationship with this child?
I mean, I could just go with the best that you could offer.
Okay, so if I
Right now,
set up something in Anson, you can try to find a vehicle and do that, and you'll let her know if you can.
can I suggest, like, is there any way I can get like a social worker maybe to monitor the visits, or
Well, I can do that if you're somewhere that there's a social worker. A social worker's not going to travel halfway to meet you or anything. So if you want to come to San Angelo, you could probably hire
Well,
someone.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so for me as well, like the problem is I don't have a problem going to meet with to go get my child, but I don't want to be with Brianna. Like I don't
Right,
want her
and I
to see.
understand that, because I'm going to say that y'all don't really mesh anymore. So I understand that. I'm trying to develop a relation to where, so if I set visitation up in San Angelo, could you get to San Angelo just as easy as Anson?
How long would the visitations be? Like, what?
Well, initially it's going to be for short periods of time because you've got to develop that relationship before you can just take this child off for a weekend. And I would be setting you up for failure at that too, because the child's not going to know you, is not going to.
Correct. I'm just gonna stay with the Anson meeting halfway.
And I will make the meeting in a public place in Anson. I'm just not going to make it. I'm trying to get her at least halfway to you, if that would help.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to that?
Um,
Just a minute.
I would just as far as like holidays go, how is that taken?
Well,
Like holidays and birthdays.
it's alternating holidays in a standard possession order, but you're a long way from a standard possession order. So it's going to be a while before you're to that point. I can arrange something if you want to come to San Angelo for holiday and see the child and spend a day or something with the child after you develop some relationship with the child.
Okay, can we set that in order?
Okay. So it'll all progress into that. Probably not for this holiday, other than for a short period of time. But if you make it to San Angelo for a short period of time, you can see. Okay. Miss Griffith, anything further you want to add?
As far as like the meeting in Anson, that would be me taking her. But if he is able to come to San Angelo, I mean, I can have like my mom or
I think
like
your
my
mom's as problematic as you are.
or my grandma or somebody else, so that way I don't have to be there with him. I mean, I can
Okay.
have like another family member or someone,
Okay.
if
All
that,
right.
I mean that.
Well, and there'll be a point once he knows the child that he is safe as long as other people are not present. So I'm not as much concerned about that as I think your mom or something would be as much problem as any of, all right? So let me make a ruling and let me review my notes and I'll be right back.
Judge, may I ask a couple of questions of Mr.
Oh.
Lewis?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Mr. Lewis, you mentioned that you have a son that's 6 and another daughter that's 3.
I have a son that's 3 and a daughter that's 6.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got that mixed up. Okay, so your daughter that's 6 that lives with your aunt. Have your rights to that child been terminated?
I did sign my rights over for that child.
Okay, and do you pay support for the son, or is he living in your household?
He's living in my household.
Okay.
So you terminated rights on the older daughter?
Correct.
Okay. So as far as child support purposes, you have one other child.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I had, Judge.
All
I
right.
just want to clarify that.
Okay, I'm going to do some calculations and go over my notes and try to formulate a plan. And you said $15 an hour, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I have a phone number in the waiting room. They can just wait. I don't know who that would be. And you said if you added this child to your insurance, is that insurance through your employer or through someone else?
It's it's a private.
It's private, okay. But it would not cost to add this child.
Correct.
Okay. And what is your days off?
Wednesdays and Thursdays.
What days? Wednesday and Thursday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is your work schedule, Miss Griffith?
I am pretty much, I can, if I need to request, it's not a set schedule, it's just,
Okay, so if Wednesday or
But-
Thursday was the meeting day, that would be okay?
yes, I would be able to talk to my manager and work something out with her.
Okay. Is the Wednesday or Thursday better for either one of you?
Any's fine with me.
Mr. Lewis, is
Uh,
either of those days?
Either or works.
Okay. And what time of the day is best for travel purposes and for the child's, I don't want her to be napping the whole time.
She usually naps about 10, so anything after, she wakes up at like 6, 7 in the morning, and then she takes her nap about 10 a.m. and she usually naps for about an hour, so.
And it's, how far is it to Anson for each of you drive-wise?
I believe it's 111 miles, so it's like I think it comes up to like an hour 50 on my end.
Okay. All right. So about 2 hour
Correct.
prep time. So I'm trying not to run or nap. So I'm either, but I'm also trying to not get it so late you don't get back for mealtime. Is 1 too soon or is 1:30 better?
1:30 is fine.
One 1:30 works for me. 1:30, yeah.
And what is a good public place in Anson? I'm not familiar with Anson, so.
I'm not here as well. I just knew that was the halfway mark.
Is there like a Dairy Queen or I'm talking rural West type Texas, so is there a Dairy Queen or a McDonald's or I don't even know how big Anson is.
It's a very small city. I could look it up real quick. They have a Subway.
Okay. Would that be okay? And then when y'all get there and you find a better location, you can change it, but is Subway a good location to start with?
It works for me.
Yeah, that's
Is that
fine.
okay?
That's fine.
Okay, what I'm going to do is come up with some temporary orders and see how this works out, because they may need to be tweaked a bit, depending on how things are working out, as seeing what happens during these visits, okay? So I'm going to do temporary orders only today. I am finding that you are the father, Mr. Lewis, and establishing that parent-child relationship between you and the child. I'm finding that you and Miss Griffith will be joint managing conservators of the child. She'll be the joint managing conservator with the right to determine primary or day-to-day residence. You will have, possession of the child, initially supervised, every other Wednesday at the Subway in Anson at 1:30 to 3 p.m. And that's supervised by Miss Griffith or whoever transports the child. And when I say supervised, Miss Griffin, I don't mean that you're sitting there in their booth.
No, yeah, yeah.
You get to be in the restaurant, he's in the restaurant, but he's getting to spend time, all right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be every other Wednesday, and we're going to start those with the first Wednesday in November, okay? So that gives everybody time to plan and get ready for that. So look at your calendars and figure out what the first Wednesday of November is, and it's every other Wednesday from there, all right?
And you said 1:30 to 3:30?
1:30 to 3.
Okay.
With an infant, that's a pretty lengthy time.
Mhm.
Because you're not going to go run and play in a park or anything. Okay. Then that's for 5 visits that you supervise them. And then for the next 5 visits, you're at the subway meeting in Anson still, but you're going to have unsupervised visits. So in other words, you can go sit in the car and read a book, do whatever you want, but he gets to have the child for an hour and a half. There in Anson. There's not a lot to do in Anson, so he'll probably stay at the, but I'm saying he's entitled to not have you sitting at the next booth over. All right.
Okay.
And then after he's completed those 5 visits, then it will continue with the every other Wednesday, but it will change from 1:30 to 5 p.m. and it will be in San Angelo because we're eventually going to have to figure out a way to extend these visits to be somewhere where there's something to actually do. Okay. So now the visits are 1:30 to 5. And I know you have a brother there. I don't know if that's someone that you can use their house, or if you've got other friends from your time there that you, but anyway, 1:30 to 5 every other Wednesday when you come to San Angelo. And where do you want to meet in San Angelo to exchange the child?
You could just do it like at Shannon.
At Shannon, which part?
Oh, that's a big. Oh, oh, we could
Yeah, it's like all over town.
oh, we could meet at the library then to make it easy.
At the downtown library.
The downtown one?
All right.
Okay.
They're on Beauregard.
Correct.
Okay, so you'll meet at the San Angelo. I don't even know if it's called San Angelo or Tom Green, to be honest, but the library on Beauregard.
It's the Stevens Central Library is what it's called.
There it is, Stevens Central Library at 1:30, and it's still unsupervised. So you'll meet him at 1:30 there, and you'll meet him at 5 o'clock to pick the child up, unless y'all make arrangements for some other time. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
How many
And
visits would that be?
and that is going to continue until we come back to see how things are working out as far as you getting to know the child. And so we're going to come back in January sometime and see how things, because to get 5 visits in, actually, we probably need to come back February, maybe. Because you want to make sure you get some visits in and can kind of go through each phase. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Okay. And if y'all see things are going okay, you can move them up. In other words, if he's getting to know the child and doing well with the child, you can move to the unsupervised quicker if you see that, Miss Griffin, where you go out and read a book at the library, take a nap, I mean, in your car, take a nap, whatever you want to do. And then move up the San Angelo part if you want to do that. If you see that the relationship is built and you have that ability, okay?
Okay.
But we'll come back for temporary or for final hearing on, can you give me a date in maybe February?
Yes, Judge. Let me see. I was counting up dates. So it's a total of 10 visits, right? 5 supervised,
Yeah.
5 supervised. So I calculated the first Wednesday of November is going to be the 6th.
Okay. In fact, let's just shorten those for now and do 3 supervised and 3 unsupervised, and then come to San Angelo.
The 3 and 3.
Yeah, because I don't think it's going to take long to figure out. And, you know, if this isn't working out for either one of you, you're probably going to need to hire some attorneys to help you with this, because Miss Starr, she's been very patient and presented all this, but she doesn't represent either of you.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so if I counted right, the 6th visit will be on January the 29th. And
Okay.
so if we came back to court on February 4th or 5th, actually 4th is in person, So that's usually contempt cases. So the 5th would be good, or the 11th or the 12th.
Okay, are either of those a Wednesday where it would be on his day off?
Yes, the 5th and the 12th are Wednesdays.
Okay, and I'm just saying that if he came to San Angelo, he could still hop on
Zoom.
remotely if he was traveling.
Yes.
Probably do that better. Okay, so how about we do the, would you say the 11th or the 12th is a?
The
Wednesday.
12th. The 12th is a Wednesday.
And so let's do February 12th, 2025. And have that hearing at 2. And that'll be when you have the child, so you could kind of be here and have the child, and you can just have the child in the background or someone helping you if you need to. All right. So February 12th, 2025 at 2 o'clock for final hearing. Income withholding is ordered. I really want y'all to work this out. It's for the child's best interest if y'all can work this out. But I do have deep concerns, and on this order, it will say no contact by, and you'll have to give the correct spelling, Shania Carrillo. That's temporary orders only. If we can get past that, we might get somewhere. But for now, I think we're a long way from that. All right.
Sure.
So how does Shania Carrillo spell her name?
It's gonna be SHANIA. It's gonna be our first name, Shania, and then Carrillo is gonna be CARRILLO.
All right, and I'm just going to be real honest with you, Mr. Lewis.
Mhm.
If you can't get Shania to a position where she can control herself, even arguing with her, even when being, even if the other person is bringing it on, this is probably permanent because, and you're going to have to make the decision which is most important. All right. And she needs to understand that too, that if it continues, she may, you know, that you'll see your child, but you and her won't have, you know, I'm just saying this is a serious concern. And just as I wouldn't let from what I've heard, Miss Griffin be around your other child right now, I can't let Miss Carrillo be around this child.
Correct.
All right, so that's the ruling. Ms. Starr will draft it into a written order, file it with the court so I can review it for accuracy and sign it. Once I have done that, you both get a copy by mail, but the order is in place. I will also say that you need to download that App Close app. And you will, it doesn't allow just endless conversations. So your girlfriend is just going to have to get okay with it, Mr. Lewis. But that app has calendars. You can keep calendar in there as far as your visitation. If you do need to communicate to change the time for some reason, your days off change, or she has a doctor's appointment or something like that, you can communicate and confirm a change in those plans, okay?
Correct.
All right, so it's App Close, and you have to download it, create an account by Friday.
You
All
said
right.
App Close, like APPCLOSE.
And I believe it's an orange icon that
All
looks, okay? But it's a very good app. It costs you nothing unless you're transferring money between it, and you shouldn't be doing that because you pay through the registry of the court. All right. So now child support based upon your $15 an hour. Did I already go over that?
No.
No.
Okay. So based upon the $15 an hour, your child support is $395 per month, plus you providing the medical coverage for the child. That does not mean you have to drop the child off of Medicaid, Ms. Griffin.
Okay.
That is between you and Medicaid, whether you qualify. But
Okay.
he's required to put the child on his insurance, especially since it doesn't cost anything.
Okay. And I do have a question about that. So if he puts her like on his insurance, when I take her to like doctors or whatever it is, Will I get like a policy number or something to provide the doctor?
Yeah, he'll
Or will he
provide
do
it to you, but you've got your Medicaid in place as well.
that? Okay.
So, all right. All right. I really wish you both the best of luck. I hope you can work through this because that's part of being a parent is
Mhm.
learning to deal with other people's reactions to your child as well as to people involved. And so I hope you can get this worked out. It may take counseling on both of your parts. All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Free
Thank
to
you.
go.